Good evening, I'm Patricia Vallone with a CTV News update. Prince George's County settles a multi-million-dollar discrimination lawsuit filed by Black and Latino police officers. The county has agreed to pay $2.3 million to settle the case. The county has doled out nearly $18 million fighting the 2.5-year-long battle. The plaintiffs were members of the Hispanic National Law Enforcement Association and the United Black Police Officers Association. They accused the department and 3 white former leaders of the department of fostering an environment in which officers of color face systemic racism in promotions and discipline. The suit also alleged that the department retaliated against those who tried to uncover wrongdoing. The agreement includes new policy reforms, including a new equal employment opportunity policy that covers anti-discrimination, anti-retaliation, and bias-free policing. A familiar face in Washington law enforcement circles has been tapped to lead the U.S. Capitol Police. He is Thomas MANGER, and he most recently served as chief of the Montgomery County Police Department. And before that, he led the Fairfax, Virginia Police Department. MANGER comes with the embattled U.S. Capitol Police in the wake of the January 6th insurrection when pro-Trump supporters tried to overthrow the government. He takes over the helm of the 2,300-member force from acting chief Yogananda Pittman, who was the first woman and African-American to lead the force. MANGER comes as the agency grapples with how to enact reforms aimed at protecting the Capitol. The Montgomery County executive and activists met this morning to send a clear message that they don't support the I-270 and I-495 highway expansion project. This is one day before the Transportation Planning Board is scheduled to meet to discuss a possible revote on the governor's plan. The plan would widen portions of I-270 and the Capitol Beltway and add express toll lanes. However, many critics are concerned about the project's environmental impact.
The governor's plan would add 4 lanes, 2 in each direction. They would be toll lanes that could have prices as high as $50 that largely benefit the affluent, and would be encouraging more people to drive at a time that we know we need to be creating more alternatives. Transit support for telecommuting, and more bikeable, walkable communities.
Transportation officials in Hogan say 5 projects would have to be cut to make up for the loss of the private financing of this project. Well, the latest COVID-19 numbers show a slight uptick. The state health department has confirmed 155 new coronavirus cases since yesterday. 28 of those are here in Prince George's County. The positivity rate, which had been below 1% earlier this month, inched up slightly to 1.53%. 4 people have died from the virus since yesterday. Hospitalizations, which had been below 100 earlier this month, now stand at 139. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. We'll be back in just a moment.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. If you could see you through my eyes instead of your ego, I believe you'd be surprised to see that you've been blind. Walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes. Yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back. Survivors of the 2018 Capitol Gazette shooting and families of the 5 victims filed 2 lawsuits alleging that a parent company did not do enough to prevent the attack. The lawsuits were unsealed Thursday, according to the Baltimore Sun, which was also named as a defendant. They were filed June 24th, but remained sealed while the gunman's trial played out. A jury found Gerard Ramos criminally responsible for his actions last week, rejecting the defense's mental health arguments. Ramos had a longtime grudge against the news organization after it published his guilty plea to a misdemeanor charge of harassment. An armed standoff involving a man and a Montgomery County police turns deadly, and now prosecutors in neighboring Howard County are taking over the case. The victim is 21-year-old Ryan LaRoe. The fatal shooting stems from an incident at a McDonald's in Gaithersburg Friday night. LaRoe purchased food through the drive-thru but refused to pay or to move his car. Montgomery police officials said that last night officers saw a handgun on the front seat of LaRoe's car. Officers tried to negotiate with him, but he ended up being shot multiple times. Again, Howard County prosecutors are now investigating that case. A federal jury awards $730,000 to a black Secret Service agent who was detained while on duty in Maryland. The jury found that Gerald Ferreira and Brian Phillips violated Nathaniel Hicks' constitutional right to be free from unreasonable seizure. The two white U.S. Park police officers, unlawfully detained Hicks in 2015 while he waited on the shoulder of the BW Parkway to accompany a cabinet secretary's motorcade. The jury also found that the officers' actions were unreasonable during the seizure. The state attorney teams up with a popular go-go star to launch an anti-carjacking campaign. The PSA is known as Don't Take the Ride. It includes Big G from the Backyard Band, a go-go group. Officials say the video was created to help encourage young people to not participate in crimes like carjacking.
I wanted to message in the language that they will understand and receive the message. And so we're really excited to be able to do these PSAs, but more importantly, we're excited to let young people know that we care about them, we care about their future, and we want to help them protect their own futures by not engaging in this negative behavior.
And Brave Boy will host a community engagement event at Oakcrest Towers Apartments in District Heights. That'll be tomorrow at 5 p.m. Coming up later on the news, a history-making broadcast team comes to Major League Baseball. Stay with us.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
The Dutch.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, Prince George's police make an arrest in a deadly domestic violence case. Here's the suspect, 56-year-old Luis Novoa of the 4000 block of Lawrence Street in Colmar Manor. According to investigators, Novoa stabbed his wife to death during an argument on Sunday morning just before 11. She has been identified as 50-year-old Florentina Maldonado. The suspect was taken into custody at the scene and reportedly admitted to the stabbing. He faces first and second-degree murder charges and is being held on a no-bond status. Another community newspaper loses its local connection. Last week, the Laurel Leader offices closed up shop, effectively cutting back news from the region. For writer and contributor Kevin Leonard of the Laurel History Boys, it was a sad day of reckoning.
The Tribune Company, which owns the Baltimore Sun and all of its subsidiary papers all around the Baltimore Beltway, they are methodically cutting back, and they apparently have started with the Laurel Leader and the Towson Times, where they've closed the office, and they are going to continue to publish the papers but under the same banner, but with no particular emphasis on Laurel or Towson. They're just going to grab content from other Sun papers and the Sun itself if need be. and sell advertising, which is, I think, is the whole point. It's a shame. The leader's been part of this community for 124 years, and people have come to rely on it. In some instances, it's great for community news. It's not one of these newspapers that are going to go out and break news, but for its purpose, it was terrific, and everybody liked it. I wrote for it for 10 years about local history, and it was a great experience.
The Laurel History Boys continue to publish Voices of Laurel, another community newspaper that also comes in digital form. Well, Marylanders on average owe almost $43,000 in student loan debt, that according to educationdata.org. To address this issue, Maryland colleges met virtually this morning for a symposium. Schools, including Frostburg and Prince George's Community College, discussed the importance of financial education for students. The Maryland Center for Collegiate Financial Wellness was part of the discussion. The center will help students navigate financial aid decisions.
The Maryland Center for Collegiate Financial Wellness will serve as a space to help student loan borrowers navigate tough decisions when it comes to repayment, but also point them in the direction of relief options that are available from the federal government and the state government.
Financial education is important because it's the gateway to, familial success. And what I mean when I say that is, generational wealth is a term that has sort of become a little bit of a buzzword, but it's key.
The center is sponsored by the Cash Campaign of Maryland. In sports news, women continue to break barriers in Major League Baseball. As the Baltimore Orioles take on the Rays in Tampa Bay tonight, women will be calling the action. A 5-member team, all female, will broadcast the MLB Game of the Week on YouTube. It's a first for Major League Baseball. Orioles announcer MELANIE NEWMAN will be a key member of the group. She talked about the big event a few days ago on the Massa Network.
Looking over it, it does start to flicker in your head a little bit. Okay, this is an all-female crew, and just a really unique circumstance from there. So I'll be anchoring as the play-by-play person for the game. We've got Sarah Langs, who has joined us on O's Extra plenty of times to break down all of the analytics. And, of course, Alana Rizzo is the sideline reporter. And then they're rounding it out with Heidi Watney and Lauren Gardner, who will be back in studios doing pre- and post-game.
And first pitch is tonight at 7:10. To the NBA and the Washington Wizards, welcome home Wes Unseld Jr. The Wizards yesterday named Unseld Jr. as their new head coach. He's a DMV native and son of the late Washington NBA Hall of Famer Wes Unseld. The 49-year-old has been an NBA assistant coach for nearly 20 years. Unseld and Wizards general manager Tommy Sheppard say improving their defense is a top priority.
And the one thing that always stood out with Wes is his intelligence about the game, where the game's headed, the modern NBA, and certainly his proficiency on the defensive side of the ball, which is an area that we absolutely must address immediately.
It boils down to buy-in and commitment, and I think all parties involved, including the players, they know for us to take that next step to really get to the level which we think we can attain, it's going to take that commitment to that side of the ball.
Unseld, Sheppard, and the Wizards now have to prepare for the NBA draft, which will be held next week. The county needs your help providing school supplies to needy kids. The Department of Public Works and Transportation has kicked off its Stuff the Bus school supply drive. The agency is accepting donations such as backpacks, pencils, rulers, notebooks, highlighters, and erasers. Residents can drop off items at the agency office in Largo from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. A second location is the Oxon Hill Park and Ride in Oxon Hill. Drop-off is from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. and the school supply drive will run until August 16th. Turning now to your weather forecast. Tonight mostly clear with lows around 73 degrees. Wednesday sunny with a chance of showers, highs in the low 90s. Thursday sunny skies, highs in the mid 80s. And Friday mostly sunny conditions, a high around 87 degrees. And that is your CTV News Update. I'm Patricia Vallone. Have a great evening.